Hi everyone, my name is Anna and today I am here to talk a little bit about my GMAT journey and also my experience with Target Test Prep for the preparation for the GMAT Focus exam. First of all, a little bit about my background. So I am originally from Portugal, but I've been working in Germany for the past 3 years. I have a bachelor's degree in economics, and really my GMAT journey started around March last year. When I was looking through some master's program, I found this really cool one that really aligned with what I wanted to do, and I realized that I would need a fairly competitive GMAT score to get accepted. So at the time I was targeting something in the low to mid 600s, not an amazing score, but a good score, let's say. So I didn't really know much about the GMAT. All I knew that it was a test that tested basic math concepts and a bit of logic, and I thought, well, I've always been good at math. I can absolutely figure this out. And so I decided to give it my first try after 3 weeks of studying. I don't even know if I would call what I was doing studying, because what I was doing is just doing a bunch of random exercise that I found in some question banks. I didn't really have a plan. I didn't really have a structure. I didn't know really what I was doing. I had no idea where to start. So I was just doing a bunch of exercises for 3 weeks. I gave it a try and I scored a 555, which bummed me a little bit. But I thought, well, if I take it in a month again, I could still make this year's admissions. Maybe I just need more time. Maybe I just need a bit of time. 3 weeks was a very tight schedule from the beginning. So let's say 1 month and 3 weeks should be enough. So I gave it a try a month later. During that month, I didn't do a lot of things different. I was just doing the same things that I did before. So just a bunch of questions, not really paying attention to mistakes, not really paying attention to the areas that I was really going wrong. And so I gave it a try 1 month later and I scored 565, which is really not a big improvement from my first try. And this time I was a bit bummed about it, actually. I thought maybe this is not for me, but maybe I just can't do it. Like maybe it's been too much time since I was studying. I just cannot do this anymore. And so I wasn't going to make last year's admissions round anyway, so I decided I'm going to put this off a couple of months. I didn't study for a while, and fast forward to end of January this year, I decided that I wanted to give it another proper try with time, with some structure. So the first thing I did is I went online and I googled things like GMAT study plan, GMAT study tips, and I very quickly came across a lot of different prep platforms. TTP really stood out to me, not only because of all the reviews that you can see everywhere, but also I really like the fact that people were saying that it's so thorough, so complete, that it basically starts from zero and builds up from there, and that it gives you structure, gives you a study plan. So I did the 5-day free trial before I purchased it. I really liked it in the 5-day free trial. I really liked that it gave you a study plan, so you could really see where you were supposed to be and where you are now. I really liked that it was divided in very clear chapters with very clear different theme topics, let's say. And so it made it very easy to identify where you were going wrong. And yeah, so I purchased the flexible plan, so the most basic plan, and I used it for about 2.5 months before I gave it my first try this year. And during that time, I basically only did TTP. I have a full-time job, so for me, I very quickly realized that there was no way I was going to finish the course. If you have the time, I would really advise you to do so, because I think if you finish the full thing, there is no way that you are going to be unprepared. So from the beginning, I knew that I wasn't going to make it. I didn't have enough time with a full-time job. I was basically only studying 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evenings, and then the full weekends. and it's really not a lot if you want to complete the full TTP syllabus. But so basically I gave it a try for 2.5 months, and I scored a 5.95. And this time I felt like, okay, this is an improvement. But I also thought I could do better, because during that exam, honestly, I panicked in the quant section. I got a very weird first question in quant, and that's a thing that I really had to work on, and TTP also really helps with that you know when to give up on a question, and that really played a role on me not doing my best my first try this year. But I was pretty happy with myself, because my verbal and DI score were actually fairly high. And I didn't really study that much for those areas, because I was focusing on quant, that is my weak area, which, by the way, really surprised me, because I thought that having a very high level of math, because I did a bachelor degree, I studied calculus, I studied linear algebra, that really didn't help me a lot in quant. And because I think it really made it difficult for me to look at the problem and think of it in simplest form. And so what TTP really helped me with in these cases is that, because it starts from zero, it really helps you to go back to basics. Like, look at the problem and see what's the most basic way that I can solve this, because that way is usually also the fastest way. And it uses more logic than very advanced math concepts. So yeah, quant is still my lowest score. I think it would always be my weakest area. But I also wasn't playing a lot with my strengths up until that point, because I was studying a bit of verbal and a bit of DI, but not really giving it much thought, because I thought, I'm already good at this. It will be fine either way. But what I realized after this try is that the difference between a good score and an amazing score could be actually to really focus on your strong areas to make them perfect. So I knew that I had more in me after that 5.95, and I decided to, okay, last try, this time is for real. And I gave myself one more month. I continued using TTP during that month, focusing on my weakest spots in quant, and also brushing up a bit on verbal and DI. For verbal, I really liked because I had already quite a good score consistently. I really like the difficulty of the hard and the challenging questions. It really makes you step up a bit. And I really like also the reading comprehension section, the tips that they give on how to engage with the text, because actually reading comprehension was bringing down my quant score by a bit, because I have a very hard time to engage with verbal texts that I don't really understand. So if they gave me a verbal text about economics, I am amazing with it. If they give me something about natural sciences, I just zoned out and I couldn't do it. And TTP really helped with that, like with the tips to engage a bit with the text, and I really like that. So after this month of studying, of brushing up on my weakest areas on quant, and also brushing up a bit on my strongest areas, I actually ended up scoring 6.85, which is a 96 percentile, and with a perfect verbal score, which when I say I was over the moon about is understatement. I think at the test center, the lady thought that I was, like, the lady wasn't, the receptionist didn't even know. She kept asking, "Are you okay?" And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. But yeah, so this score represents 130 point jump since I started my GMAT journey, and a 90 point jump since my first try using TTP and my second try using TTP. I honestly didn't think at some point that I was capable of this. So my personal advice to everyone, first of all, is, first of all, don't give up, because you can do it. You just need focus, you just need structure, you just need to find what works for you. And TTP really gave me that for me. You need to give yourself time, you need patience, and first you need to be consistent. So for me, I really knew that I wasn't going to have enough time with my full-time job, so you just need to be consistent. You don't need to be perfect, you don't need to finish everything, you just need to be consistent and know what you're doing and know that you're studying and actually making the most out of it. So not just studying without a goal, without a plan or anything. So yeah, this is basically my journey from 555 to 685. TTP for me really played a big role on this, and I hope you also can manage to score your goals on the GMAT focus. That's it from me.